On. Testing. Testing.
Mic test. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Testing. Testing. Come and sit. Okay, get started. You need your laptop or anything? No, up to you. Okay, so there are two mics in front, so you can just get us started by recapping that this is the weekly show and tell. And then, we have all the residents to do their demos, as a form of accountability. And then we will also have one of our own presenting. Then you can just start, kick us off, remind them 3 minutes. And then 1 minute Q&A. And then you just call them up. Yeah. So do I have to maintain a complex timer or there is a timer on the screen? No, but you want me? I can help you with the timer. You can do it? Okay. We have a special app. Just the clock. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Done.
Hello, hello. Hey, hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to the weekly presentation for the residencies. So this is a part of the weekly presentation that we do to show what we did in the last 1 week as a part to show like how accountable we are to the work that we are doing. So we will have everyone presenting offline today. There is nobody present online. Apart from that, we will also have one from Carousell to present what we are building within Carousell. So yeah, I think we can start with the Carousell one. So I welcome Ahmed.
Hello, hello everyone. Nice to meet you again after the lunchtime. I think I already share a high level of the things that I want to share to you during our lunch session, right? So I hope with this quick presentation that it can tell you guys more what is actually the usage of this thing that we're currently exploring. So yeah, let me just quickly share my screen. Okay, so I assume that most, if not all of you, are Carousell user at some point of time. Even one of you might be a super user. I think you mentioned in the last time. Um, so I believe at least you already try to do some of our buyer journey experience, trying to come out what you want to find out in Carousell, what keyword you want to type in our Carousell search bar, and then trying different keywords to see what are the different results that you get as a listing results, and then try to compare between different seller that providing the things that you need, and then start doing chatting with each of them one by one, and then in the end decide which one you want to move forward to purchase the transaction form. So I hope that so far the experience is good enough for you. If not, you can always give us feedback what we can improve in that sense. But even if it's good enough already, we always try our best to even keep improving it to make it even better. So we currently do some exploration on how to use the agentic technology to make this buyer experience even faster or better in general. What if we can cut down the time and effort for you guys from doing the searching, talking to the sellers, etc., into some simple chatting with our agentic bot agent, right? So this is what I want to show you. I initially want to do live demo, but because some time constraint, I did pre-demo to myself and then just show you guys the result of it. So let me just zoom in a bit. So here I process as a buyer that looking for some service in Carousell. So if you use our like conventional journey, right, you need to think what keyword I need to start with. But in here you can just share whatever you have in mind without even thinking. So for example, in here I'm telling the bot, hi, I'm facing some issue at home. Then the bot will reply to me what kind of issue you are actually facing. Then you can describe not only one problem, but you can describe what are the list of problems that you have at once. So, well, okay, let me. So, just read yourself because I don't have time to read by one. But I hope it's clear enough already. So, I'm having like kitchen issue, my faucet is not working, sink is clogged, water is leaking, etc. And then the bot will ask me a clarifying question, just like the service provider, we're going to ask you more detail about your problem within the chat. And then after asking several questions, right, the bot will try to come to you with the estimation price. So in here, you can decide whether to move forward or not. At least you don't need to do this like into multiple seller, copy paste one by one everything. So if let's say you decide, okay, this is within my budget, and then we will share the summary of your chat with the bot into list of seller that we trust. You can say this is a top seller of us. And then what happened on the seller side after this, right? The seller, list of seller, we got summary of the chat that you have done with the bot. And then the seller can give you the final price, and then you again as a buyer can compare the code given by multiple seller in this chatbot itself whether to move forward with one of the seller. So I don't have enough time. I want to show more, but this guy keep pushing me out. So that's it for my presentation. Feel free to ask me a question.
Hi, that's okay. So the bot basically helps me reply the buyer, correct? So in theory, I can set the parameters of what to say, what not to say, correct? So would it also help me like push the buyer to buy using all the crazy sales tactics?
Okay, good question. So I think we talk about like in high level during our lunch time, right? Whether the bot have a persona to do some kind of things, whether it's upselling the product or doing something else. If we talk about like end goals, yes, it could be one of our target that as much as possible, we try to first, aside from making all our buyer journey is easier, we also try how to convince the buyer to continue transaction with us. But I think we also discussed that making a personal bot gonna take some time, needing a lot of data and everything. But yeah, good point on that is one of our end goal also.
Very cool. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ahmed. Yeah, I think you can go. Okay, thank you. I hope one day agent can fix my sync as well. Okay, we can have, so anybody wants to come? Who wants to go first? Yeah, please. Yeah, please introduce yourself.
Sorry, today I'll do it a little bit differently because actually this week I've been mainly playing around with OpenClaw, as you can understand. Um, yep, I previously did a presentation, over at Tencent and one at Amazon also. Yeah, so I think maybe I'll just talk more about my experiences, playing and dealing with OpenClaw. Yeah, so I've been working on some enterprise cases already. So I think the main thing I've been seeing with OpenClaw or even agentic AI systems, I think it's in the area of like security. Yeah, how do you actually secure and harden it properly? So I think this is an issue that has been discussed like many times internally, at least with some of my enterprise clients. Yeah, I think the key ethos or the key tenets which I always look at when I'm trying to deal with such systems is, if you can do something locally, you should, firstly. Secondly is you need to consider things like the blast radius. Like what we actually let the agent crawl and what you actually are willing to lose. Because technically this information could be exfiltrated. Yeah. And I think on the other side, maybe cost management is also quite critical. Yeah, so I think it's really quite interesting. Like based on the cases I've seen, I'll be also doing a separate demo over at Stripe next week. I know Carousell are doing one on the exact same time. Would love to see, but sadly I'll be presenting over at the other venue. Yeah, but yeah, happy to address any questions you all have, maybe with regards to OpenClaw or AI engineering. Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, this might be a very noob question. I know nothing about this, but I keep seeing articles and you're talking about cost as well.
Yes.
I think for a number of us, like especially me, I'm not sure exactly how to manage costs. Like, do you have any advice on how do I start, like, to make sure that I don't run out of credits and stop working at 2 o'clock?
Okay, so for me, I've tried different models. Sometimes I've been using API keys. So of course, I've also tried various models from like the American and Chinese foundries. Like, I think generally I find the Chinese models to be more cost efficient as a whole. But of course, if you may need like a frontier performance, you might prefer the American labs. But I think that's one part. Like another side of cost efficiency also be the quality of the prompts that you're actually using. So most of the time, I'll tend to try to do a few passes, get a relatively detailed like planning prompt before I get the agent to actually execute on a project. Yeah. So I realize this can lead to token savings, maybe or at least like 50%. The last one, definitely use a coding plan. I know recently coding plans have been really very popular. I knew recently like a major cloud provider terminated their light coding plans and they only sold $50 coding plans. So my recommendation is if a coding plan still exists, get it while it lasts. Yeah, or not, you'll be gone. Yep. No worries. Yeah, sorry, I didn't already have any slides because yeah, a lot of my work now use more the enterprise. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think last time when I used OpenClaw, I already spent like two. Oh, it's okay. Are you okay? Yeah. Last time when I was using OpenClaw, I actually burned $200 of my own. So yeah, be careful. Okay. Anyone else wants to volunteer to present next? Or else I can start calling out names. Okay. Daryl, is Daryl here? Oh, you are the first. Okay. Okay, then Richard.
Richard went just.
Oh, you are the Richard. Okay. Um, Hua. Sorry if I mispronounced. Oh, okay. Jonathan. Yep. Join the Zoom link. Do you have the Zoom link? No? Oh, they did not receive the.
Yeah, it's the same one from last. I can send it. So are you guys ready?
Can go first. I guess I'll go first.
I mean, if anyone else is ready, can come. Okay.
Yeah, so this is from an internal discussion that we had about AI and some of its biases when it comes to language. So I think it might not be relevant to. It might not be relevant to. What?
Hello.
Maybe someone's mic is on here. Oh yeah, okay. Got it, got it. Okay, so it might not be relevant to like people in the room here because I'm very sure all of us are capable of writing in like proper English where we prompt the AI. But a lot of my clients are, they serve blue collar kind of workers or they serve blue collar kind of people. So you can just imagine like they will say TX bro or like hi, or they combine like a proper sentence into like 5 short forms and abbreviations. So I think what we've seen anecdotally is that over the past like year, when we are doing this for building AI agents to interact with people of this kind of language, we find that actually AI has a language bias. And this is proven not just anecdotally, but we have also found like the research. Hello. Hello. Okay, we also found like the research papers that back it up. So for instance, I think something that's very simple, like, hi, version A here that you see, password request, and version B, technically they mean the same thing, but when you prompt it to an AI or when you send it to an AI, actually you get very different results. So I think why this matters to us, this is for internal, we did this for internal sharing, so I'm just sharing it here, but I think all of us use AI for vibe coding, using it for like client-facing agents, pre-sales, post-sales, and so forth. And some of us use Claude to analyze support cases, analyze conversations and stuff. So just quickly browse through, I think what we find is that for these 3 different use cases, we find that AI in general is kind of consistent when it comes to generative kind of tasks. So if you ask it to summarize something, you can say it in Singlish, or you can say it in native English, professional English, or you can say it in non. Generally, it gets like you the same result. However, if you ask it to do certain things like number 1, objective classification in terms of like trying to debug a bug issue, if you use bad Singlish to do it, you usually get a poor result, and we can show that later. Same thing, when you use like proper kind of grammar and so forth, we find that Western native phrasing actually causes the AI to usually give positive sentiments. So technically the person when you're trying to analyze a conversation and that person is using like proper, Western native phrasing, the person might not be positive sentiment, might not have positive sentiment, but AI in general we find classifies it as more likely to be a positive sentiment. So, okay, sorry, this is like shouldn't show that. But anyway, so this is like internal experiment that we did between multiple models and the multiple ways that we prompt the AI, just to understand how different models work. So basically, we just ask the AI, hey, return your answer in this format, evidence, contributing factors, to try to understand why an AI agent replied in that way. And what happens is that when we send in the neutralized kind of like a prompt, so I'll explain what a neutralized kind of prompt means. Basically, the AI was able to kind of like debug the issue and kind of say, okay, give a pretty objective classification, which we are sure that this is the only reason. But when we gave it raw, meaning we wrote it in a non-native kind of way, or when we wrote it in a way that was like had a bias, or when we wrote it in a way that was not neutralized, meaning we didn't use neutral language. We prompted, look for a bug, look for an error. And then the AI actually, pointed out things like a model reasoning error, or they basically just said that the AI model that we use made a reasoning error. And we find that this is actually kind of a very default that AI models tend to have when they analyze AI models. And if you come with the framing of a poor English, or you come with the framing of a non-neutralized language, the AI always just says, oh, the AI model made that error. So I guess this is just something to think about. Our exposure generally when we use AI for like engineering or client agents, or maybe like, Carousell using it for your customers who probably will have like, half of them I assume will have pretty shitty Singlish. You probably want to think about how you get them to, what are the potential issues when you try to like classify them or subjective analyze. Generally, internally, we have 5 rules that we do. Number 1 is we always try to normalize. We ask for evidence, we don't expose identity, and we usually we find AI is better, more consistent as a writer than the judge. And one thing that we always do is that right now we are trying, particularly with non-native engineers from Vietnam or other countries, usually we try to get them to, before they work with Claude, to get Claude to neutralize your prompts. And before you try to ask Claude to do any kind of bug diagnosis. So yeah, I'm sure any of you can come up with this because this is nothing special. And yeah, that's kind of like what we had internally past few weeks.
Yes, like a JSON or YAML object instead. So you skip the whole, human communication.
Yes, I think most of the time, if you're coding, most of the time you're passing like the coding objects. I think we haven't found like any kind of like differences. But sometimes my engineers, what they do is that they will say in broken English, fix this problem. But okay, fix this problem is already proper English, but they will find a way to fix this problem somehow differently. And then what happens is that somehow the AI tends to get biased. And I think we've also seen a few cases where with customers who don't have such good English, the AI actually defaults to scolding not scolding the customer, but telling the customer they are wrong. Even though, and I think there are papers that support this, where AI is biased against people who are not Western native. So I think for us, something to think about engineering-wise is that maybe you can build a neutralizer layer. So the AI turns some shitty Singlish into a proper English request, and then feed it to the AI to get a response. But you lose the nuance of that language, because if someone types in English, maybe you want the AI to reply in Singlish. So there's pros and cons in that kind of approach.
Have you considered using the localized fine-tuned model? I think they have something like SingC or something. Right?
Yeah, but by the time we want to use them, then OpenAI releases a new model. So we really just couldn't like give a shit. So.
Thank you so much. I think we'll have to take English classes to start talking to AI models now. Okay. Who else wants to present next? Are you guys ready? Anyone? You are? Yeah. Are you able to connect now?
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna do kind of like a weekly update since my product for this is still pretty new. Just kind of in general, I think like beyond just software coding, I think distribution is also super, super important. So I've been focusing a lot on that this week. I had around 20 sales calls. These are some of the companies that I've been talking to recently, like over the last week. And the key thing that I've really noticed in the geo space particularly is everyone is kind of looking into space, but no one actually knows what exactly they're looking for. So for example, currently the companies that I see really, really need this type of solution are one, either very, very data driven, or two is their core foundation relies a lot on SEO. So for example, they acquire users through SEO, and then maybe their bottom of funnel, for example, for Glints, could be like their mobile app, which is higher in retention rate. And yeah, I've also kind of noticed there is huge nuances and differences between both the US and Asia, where right now the US market is incredibly competitive and very, very saturated. So you have a lot of mid-market accounts that are essentially not buying solutions. And this is not just in the space that I'm in, but this is just throughout like any AI product in general. And that's because there's just one, so many solutions, and two is there's a lot of decision fatigue because it's very hard for people who are non-native to understand the difference between, I guess, AI swap products and actual products that will last, which is kind of like any enterprise decision because you want to be using a product that doesn't die in 6 months in that sense. Yeah, I also caught up with a friend of mine. So he used to be the chief scientist of Amazon, really, really interesting guy. And for context, basically, because I'm kind of building like a PageRank algorithm for, I guess, LLMs in that sense, he's kind of witnessed the initial development of PageRank back in like the early 2000s. And before that, which was like the HITS algorithm, which was the hyperlink index or something. I don't remember the exact name. But yeah, the key thing that he's kind of noticed right now is there are some similarities in terms of like how the algorithm works and stuff like that. But more importantly, it's kind of like, how do you actually get people to adopt it, and do we actually have the infrastructure for it? Because for example, like with Google's case, you had some sort of search engine. Maybe in AI engines, you have like Chromium or something, but there isn't really a very clear market leader yet. And you see this regardless across tool domains like Perplexity, where after the heavy ad spend, people don't really use them anymore. So I'd say infrastructure-wise, we're still pretty new. And yeah, I spoke at an event for this product like last week in that sense. It was pretty interesting, but it was more about OpenClaw, to be honest. And I know a lot of people like OpenClaw here, but I personally find it overrated. One, super expensive. And secondly, also is, I personally think OpenClaw is just Claude Code with Cowork or whatever. I don't really see the need for that kind of thing. And yeah, I guess you could argue you could spin it on a Docker container and put it on a Kubernetes cluster, but then at that stage, is it even worth it with the token consumption? So I'm not sure. But yeah, I could be wrong. And yeah, we shipped 2 new features. One is the LLMs.txt generator, and one is a prompt tracker, which I'll just show you very quickly. So, okay, this is on localhost, but I'll show you the live one. Okay, yeah, so essentially LLMs.txt is it's kind of like robots.txt. It's somewhat unofficial right now. I don't know if it will be adopted as an industry standard, but people have been asking for it essentially. So how this works basically is it will just crawl all your pages and stuff like that, and you can select which components you want it to be made up of, and it will just basically combine it into a nice txt that you can just copy and put into your code base. The one that is not really public yet is the prompt tracker. So I think I mentioned to it briefly last week, but essentially how this works is that you can query your chosen LLM and the prompt that you want to rank in. So for example, maybe in Carousell's case, you want to rank in like best marketplaces to sell my stuff or something. And then from there, you can query and understand how much market share do you own of that specific prompt compared to other competitors or other LLMs in that sense. But yeah, this is still like a work in progress. It's really expensive to run.
Pretty interesting. Okay, who else is ready? Daryl? Oh, by the way, if anybody wants any concert tickets, Daryl is the guy. I think it's a secret for Carousell. He sells on Carousell, by the way. Okay, is anyone else ready? Are you ready? Okay. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting problem as well. If anybody wants to check what will happen if we introduce a new policy in Carousell, I think he might have a solution.
Okay, I'll just talk first. I'm Ayush. I'll just begin with a quick update on this week. I'm building a platform that simulates your customers, essentially. So I've been talking to people from the government as well as customers and just general population. So I've been talking to people from the government. One of them is actually a researcher who's working on a way to help migrant workers better understand flood risk situations. So let's say there's a flood coming in. What is the best communication channel to get them to learn about this and take the relevant action? Is it going to be through social media? Is it going to be through like a Telegram channel, for example? So we actually am talking to him and we're building like a simple POC. So based off of the Singapore population, I'm going to kind of create a customized data set of the demographic, which is like migrant workers. And then we're going to be testing out different ad concepts, different outreach methods on those personas. So that's one POC that's currently happening. I also talked to founder of this B2C EdTech app. So she's actually building educational tools for kids in India. They have about 70,000 users. And she wants to understand why people are dropping off the app, and she wants to understand like why people are staying on the app and paying like monthly subscriptions. So I know there's tools to do this like Postdog and these other analytics tools, but she wants to kind of go deeper and run these kinds of focus groups and surveys with a more customized data set, more tuned to her user base. So that's more on the kind of sales side. I also want to share a bit about something I'm hacking on. So just a few days ago, Claude Code, there was something that happened. Their code was basically open sourced, or not open source, but someone basically created like a version of Claude Code. So I was actually looking into it, and just because I wanted to learn about how they built the tool. So I'll share a bit about this concept of agentic harnesses. So Claude Code is actually a wrapper or like a harness around the base Claude 4.6 model. And it actually is a set of mini features that is very geared towards coding tasks. So I built like a very quick tool feature page on it. So a few things that caught my eye was how they were doing things like compaction. So LLMs have they have context history, right? So let's say an LLM has like 100K of tokens. How do you accurately or efficiently compact them? There's many concepts like micro compacting, where you just like look at large text and just like cut it off. So that's also SNP compaction. There's also
auto compaction and reactive compaction. So like this, there's a lot of different kind of features that Cloud Code's team implemented. So it got me thinking of like, can we build agent harnesses around other use cases outside of coding? So I actually built a very simple, I don't know if I have time to share it, but I tried to rebuild Cloud Code from scratch. So let's see if I have time to. Yeah, so I call it mini code. It's very early stage. I started this yesterday, but what I'm trying to do is like rebuild Cloud Code and tune it for a specific domain. For example, market research or education. It can kind of wrap around all your existing tools that you use, all the APIs that you use, and build a better harness for your very specific use case. So yeah, that's something else that I've been exploring. So yeah. Any questions? Yeah, I mean, I haven't really re-implemented Cloud Code's compaction, but definitely, like, I mean, there's pros and cons to the method of compaction that you use. So yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but I haven't really looked much into it.
Thank you. Okay, who else? Yeah.
We can go. Oh shit! Sorry, guys. Yay, okay. Hi guys. So, I don't know if you can hear from my voice, but I basically lost my voice. And the story behind this is we decided it would be a great idea to talk to 15 users every single day. And I've been doing that for like the past 3 days, so I lost my voice. But yeah, we've been very, very focused on product and distribution this week. So last week we were like sort of revamping the platform with our search filters, with our scraping, and this week we've been like talking to users to see if that makes sense and what else we want to do. So the first thing that I implemented on this product end was we sort of changed and clarified our success metrics. I've been very obsessed with metrics lately, yeah. But TLDR kind of came up with a new set of metrics. I would say very interestingly, we changed our NSM to callback standard per active user. I think previously we were trying to do job standard per active user, but we realized that the runway for this is simply too long. And when we're trying to do like faster like analysis and iteration of like whether our product is achieving its intended purpose, that just takes too long from people to get from application to job received. Yeah, so now we're going by callbacks instead. And also apparently a lot of people don't get a lot of callbacks. So at first we thought that this would be too like bloated or like of a vanity metric, but then we realized it's okay, yeah. And I wanted to talk a little bit about consumer growth because I've been thinking a lot about this week. So I'm not sure if you guys have seen this article by Paul Graham, founder of YC, where he basically talks about what's a startup and what's not a startup. And I think right now, because there's a lot of stuff in the startup space, everything is calling themselves a startup, when startup simply equates to growth and scalability. And that's why we've been very, very intensely trying to track like how fast exactly are we growing and how can we make that faster. So actually, last week we had 20% week-on-week user growth, so that was great. But TLDR, like the concept of a lemonade stand, i.e. not a startup, versus let's say an investment app, which is a startup, is its velocity of growth and potential for scalability, which is I think why we were so like locked in on this. Yeah, so last week I also shared about an experiment where we basically threw out this coffee chat LinkedIn post to kind of talk to users. Two objectives is A, to create a small and focused group of private beta users for our new features, and then eventually transform some of these into campus evangelists if they are students on campus. And the second thing is user research across two verticals, early career starters and mid-career switchers. And so we've been doing that basically went really well. We had 1 hour chats with 15 people a day across 3 days. Yeah. And I think to summarize, what I think is the reason for the very good user growth is, first of all, it was very direct and personal contact with users, where we were directly talking to them about a specific pain point, and we could immediately sort of postulate how our solution was solving that. So that skyrockets acquisition due to immediate value demonstration, as well as retention due to like a personal sort of engagement. And the second thing is, I guess it was just an interesting stunt, and it just got more people to look at our webpage. So TLDR, do things that are not the same as what everyone else are doing. Yeah. Then how we extracted insights was using different product issue tags. I think this is like really important. I think my gripe with my work at the other organization that we work at is that we do not talk to users enough, and we kind of build in the dark. And I think product managers, they have this really like stuck kind of vision of what they want the product to be. So yeah, I really like talking to users and basically making very quick decisions. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of Amazon's two-way door decision framework, but TLDR, if something can be reversed, then just do it immediately, because the cost of not doing it is higher than the cost of it going wrong. And I think everyone right now running on very lean teams or building very early stage, I think that's something that's like really interesting to think about and implement. Yeah, so our focus for the next week will be somehow fixing our quarter-on-quarter churn, because our app is kind of seasonal. It's like once you get a job, you leave the app. It's like a dating app, right? If I meet my husband on Hinge, I'm not going to be on Hinge anymore. So yeah, that will be our focus for the next week. Yeah. Yay.
Okay, who is remaining? Daryl?
Okay. Sorry, give me a while. Let me share my screen. Okay, so last week I gave a little feedback on the Carousell stuff, and the question asked to me by Marcus was, have I tried using AI to solve my problems? I said no. Then I thought about it. Hey, actually I could. So I did it. Yeah. So one of the problems I had, right? Okay, I have this friend. She got rich by divorcing a lot of men, and she has a huge collection of shoes, bags, and whatsoever, and she's running out of money. She asked me to come over and liquidate her stuff, put it on Carousell, put it anywhere, just sell it. So just to give you guys some perspective, this is 1 out of 8 of the drawers. It's all Christian Louboutin, very expensive shoes, and it's a lot, like a lot. I took a lot of pictures over the course of like 6 hours, and this is not even half of it. It really, really hurt. But fine, you know, that's taking picture. I have to do it. The difficult part was researching it, typing all the little stuff, finding, okay, what price do I put it? And, you know, is anybody selling the same thing? Because some of these are really rare, you know. You can't find them anywhere. It's like you have to know somebody, or you have to have a certain spending power. So I made something like this. Sorry, let me zoom in. Yeah, okay, so very simple. You just need to put a picture in. The AI comes and looks at it, looks at the different markets that I've told it to look at, and gets you the description, price, and the template to post on Carousell straight away. So let me put an example that I have. So this is just a regular Rolex that I found online. Then, so if you want to put like the item name, you can. You don't have to. You want to put description, you can. Like you can use, damaged, scratched, or brand new. I'm not gonna do that. So analyze with AI. So while we wait, what's ideal is, well, okay, for me, right? Not just Carousell. I can post it on eBay, Shopee, anywhere basically. Oh, it's done. Wow. Okay, so over here, the picture, the Carousell title, how confident, where is it? How confident it is that it's this thing, and the description, price, condition. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's not rocket science. So, Then Facebook groups. So like if I post in relevant Facebook groups, I can probably sell it a little easier, get more exposure, distribution. Yeah, so if I'm happy with it, I can just approve it. If I'm not happy, I can just edit it. If I approve it, it'll be here. So you see Carousell, I can just copy this thing straight away, post it, Facebook, Shopee, which is, which is like this. It's pretty straightforward. So let's say I post it, copy listing, and I can just paste it in here, boom, done. Oh, I'm pretty much done. Yeah. Oh, and over here, there's like recommended Facebook groups based on the relevancy of the thing. I haven't got it to work, but you get the idea, right? Yeah. Any questions? Okay. A little of both. So let's say I want to sell an iPhone, right? I would ideally like to list it everywhere to get the maximum like eyeballs. And if people offer me, they offer me. If they don't, so be it, right? And this just makes my life so much easier. I mean, if I put the hold on, if I put the listing title, the description, all that, my thing will be a little more accurate, right? But it's a pretty straightforward thing. It's just a copy paste. I just can copy this based on a platform, and it saves me a lot of time because manually doing it takes like 10 minutes per item, and I have like a few hundred items as I've shown you, right? Yeah. What? Oh, me and her fell out. We had an argument. She was drunk and she kept commenting on like oh you should find a girl like this, you should find a wife like this. Like bro, I'm in my 20s, chill. And she didn't like that I said no to her. Hey, no, not in that manner, not in that manner. Yeah, thanks guys.
Okay, thank you, Daryl. Uh, who else is remaining? Oh yeah, please.
There's Ajit as well.
Okay. Here's the link.
I think there's another mic there.
Check, check. All right. Hey guys, my name is Ajit. I think I've only met Elson and Daryl before. I was overseas for the past month, so I just got back. So good to see all of you. This is I've been coming into the office for the past couple of days. Yesterday was a bit of a ghost town. I only saw like the hardworking or some very hardworking people here, but I'm sure the rest of you are at home hardworking as well. No, anyway. So I run two companies in the computer vision space. So switching gears a little bit, and this is more hardware. One of them is in the port. So we create autonomous cranes at the port in the Singapore terminal. And the second one is a newer company, the robotic space. It's about 3 months old. But today I'm going to just give you a bit of background about what we do at the port, and then a couple of things that we want to take from there and apply it to the robotics company, if that's okay. Yeah. All right, so I think, yeah, as you might be able to recognize this, right? So just at the bottom here, quite close to where we are, is the Pasir Panjang terminal. And if I zoom in a little more, you'll be able to see there's these like little green things here. So these are the cranes. They're called rail-mounted gantry cranes. They are like massive structures the size of a building. And what they have to do is essentially a bit like a claw machine. So they pick up containers, place it on trucks, and pick it up from trucks and place it on containers. Everywhere in the world, there are crane operators that do this. And when they do this, they have to be very careful because obviously, unlike a claw machine, if you drop a container, it could kill people. So they need to watch like multiple CCTV cameras and make sure that all these safety checks are in place before they can land a container. So it takes them typically 3 to 4 minutes to do it. We ended up building deep learning models that end up making those decisions on behalf of the operator. So it's a bit like an operator assist. So then the operators just have to press button A, pick up, button B, set down, and then our deep learning models essentially control the crane if any exceptions happen. So we can like effectively cut down half of the operation time to half the time. And this ended up getting deployed like in the entire fleet. There's 180 cranes that run our, so it's essentially the entire Pasir Panjang terminal runs our perception stack. But the more interesting, but here it was still not autonomous. So you still have one crane operator and one crane. So this was just kind of automating their workflows, right? What ended up happening was that when we went to Tuas, so Tuas is in this side.
1 minute remaining.
Oh yeah, okay, past there. All right, so when we went to Tuas, we ended up building actually a fully autonomous stack. So here we went from, so in Pasir Panjang was still one crane operator, one crane. In Tuas, we ended up going one crane operator simultaneously managing 10 jobs. So here what happens is that we built like the system from ground up. The crane can automatically tell the truck driver to back up. It knows where the truck is, and it can navigate in three-dimensional space, go and pick up a container and place it. And that's when we realized that after doing this for a couple of years, it's running 24/7. So 50% of the capacity of Tuas runs through our system. We realized that we could apply that same principles to robotics. And two things that we learned from this. One was that if you want an autonomous system to function alongside humans, like the way it is here, where human truck drivers are driving, while you do need to use AI for probabilistic to be useful enough, it still needs to have deterministic control. So you can't have a robot hallucinate like ChatGPT. Essentially, we need to be able to control the actions of the crane very deterministically. So a very if-then-else heuristics-based backbone. And then what we do is we plug in learned controllers into this heuristics backbone. So that's one of the principles. And second one is, of course, it has to be easily reconfigurable, so extensible, rapidly extensible. So in the Fort, the only reason it's running so well is because we used to ship, or at the start for the first 2 years, we used to ship like 2 models every week. We had a team of PhDs who were essentially just, and a labeling farm in Philippines that was just shipping out these models every week. So that's the only way to get to production grade. Yep. All right.
Anyone, any questions?
Does stack look like in your deep learning model? You mentioned you have a perceptor. Is it a real-time perception and then action? So what does it use? What kind of models?
So for this one, we have about 38 different models that are stitched together that run like with the perception backbone. So like you see this, so we use 3D vision. So we use 3D cameras essentially. So we have depth maps, we have RGB, and so all of this recognizes features on a truck or trailer and then takes action around like specific heuristics-based actions based on that, right? So there's about 30, 37, 38, depending on the kind of job, models that are stitched together. So for context, something like something like Waymo has about 320 models. Waymo is at, I think, 1:40 ratio of like number of episodes to human intervention. We are at 1:33. But of course, I mean, completely different scale, but very similar approach. But who knew, like, well, we're the world's only fully autonomous port, and like an obscure company in Singapore is running it, so a little bit of a humble brag, yeah.
So is it mostly the neural network models using CNNs or what for image perception?
Yeah, combination of a number of them, yeah.
So I understand that you've been exploring robotics, right, for the thing, right? I'm just curious, like, which area of robotics specifically are you exploring? Because from what I understanding from the shipping container industry, one of the biggest bottlenecks is the twist locks, right? Where it's undergoing a lot of corrosion. So current robotic systems end up being used by manual labor, right?
Yeah.
Are you tackling like that type of problem?
Yeah, actually, very cool. Well, yes and no. So this is one of the projects that we worked on the port, which is not like didn't reach the same level of operational requirements. So yeah, this is like the container. There's a little twist lock there and needs to be removed. This is an ABB robot. As you can see, it's very, but like most places in the world, it's manually done, you're right. No, for robotics, we're kind of entirely switched gears. We're focused on complex manipulation for last mile assembly. So like, for example, every electronics product that we have has like a last component, which is manually done. EarPods, iPhone, like the last part is always manually done. So that final assembly is the piece that we're focused on.
Oh, okay, got it. So are you using like sim-to-real like simulations for the actual robotics?
No, so we're using again like a fully heuristics-based model. So it's you can think of it as so if you think about LLMs and what came before LLMs, which was NLP, right? So where you break down the semantic understanding of a sentence, and then you try to kind of replicate that in trying to understand what a sentence means. And then LLMs essentially threw that all the window, and you just scale data and compute. So for us, that equivalent is we break down like semantic task understanding of a. So if you think about most robotics, everyone thinks about open world problems. We break down an open world problem into a closed problem, which is okay, assembly, and all the parts are known. And as long as we have all the parts known and we have 3D models of all the parts, we can break down the semantic relationship of those parts over time and make a robot replicate it.
I see. But wouldn't you need to consider like sensory data as well for certain components?
Yeah, like contact physics for sure. Yeah, I think so. There has to be some small reinforcement learning component there for contact physics. Yeah. So perception gets you there about 90% of the way, and then the last 10% is obviously like, I mean, it's a bit like how a kid would learn, right? Like you show a kid how to put a square peg in a square hole, and then they'll try to put it and then wiggle around and then get it in. So similarly, the robot will need to. So you need to use 4 stock sensors in the arms to do that. Yeah.
So it's just like semi-autonomous, right? Like do actuators and stuff.
Sorry.
It's like semi-autonomous through like actuators and stuff.
Yeah, I mean the control is fully autonomous. Yeah. So yeah.
Any more questions? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, that was an interesting one. Do you want to come?
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Isheng. I think you guys never seen me before. So what I built last month was a security layer for agentic commerce. So back then, I realized that, hey, Notebook exposed their API keys, and then I was pissed. So I decided to build this security layer of agentic commerce on the train while going for a haircut. And then I launched it on Virtuous Protocol. So my project is slightly different from everyone else. Mine is Web3 native. So when I launched it, we hit 200K in agentic revenue within 48 hours. And then weekly, we hit 90K in agentic revenue over here. And then secondly, the second week, 66K. And then we realized that, hey, why is it dying down? We are not at the top anymore. So we realized that crypto native people do not care about securities at all. So after that, I pivoted into something interesting, which is Cloud DeFi, a execution layer for agents. So what this means is that you don't need to create your wallets via the UI. You don't have to go and click create via MetaMask, Coinbase, add funds, on-ramp, off-ramp. And the reason why I built Cloud DeFi is that I realized a lot of Web2 users, they want to learn about crypto, but they are afraid of installing, for example, MetaMask, which is a crypto non-custodial wallet. And they want to trade, like they want to buy stable coins, they want to buy BTC, ETH, whatsoever, but they are still afraid. They do not know how to earn in the DeFi way. So as you can see, I built a simple way with OpenClaw. We packaged multiple SDKs from different chains. So Solana, Ethereum, Polygon, Base, whatsoever. All of them are on different chains, which means that they are slightly not compatible. For example, Solana, they use a different type of SDK, and it's not compatible with EVM chains. So what this means is that there's some type of friction if you want to be on DeFi. So I managed to create a simple scheme MD file to integrate, hey, you want to create your own crypto wallet just by typing it in the Telegram chat, or you want to swap your tokens to different chains, or you want to trade, for example. So let me show you guys how it works. So over here you can see that, let me zoom in. Okay, I can't. Anyways, you can see that you can check your wallet, you can check the market prices, you can swap tokens, you can do perps trading, you can lend your BTC, ETH, or you can predict you can buy a bet on the prediction market. So as you can see, hey, it recommend me certain strategies. You can do whatever strategies you want. And it tells you sometimes it fails, why did it do so, blah, blah, blah. And the interesting thing is that when I integrate with Poly Market, a prediction market that runs on Polygon, you notice that we don't have any gas fees or any USDC. So we have to bridge it somewhere here. And the thing is, the traditional way of sending gas fees as well as USDC stablecoins, you have to go to two routes. So you have to send it first, approve, and then send for gas fees, and then send your USDC across. But for this bot,
1 minute remaining.
they're able to do it within one prompt. But sadly, Poly Market is banned in Singapore, so you can see that, hey, it's blocked by Singapore. Yeah, but anyways, we are working with Foresight, a local prediction market in Singapore, so hopefully you can bypass that route. So all in all, it's basically a DeFi execution layer for general users. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions?
So basically, this is for users who are directly integrating with these platforms to do trading, right? So the key is stored on their local computer, is it?
Correct.
So with this means you said you integrated with OpenClaw, right? Is there a security protocol for not exposing that key to?
Well, the thing right now we're still exploring that because our main focus is product market fit. In terms of security, we just prompt engineered, hey, store it locally, hey, not to get out of that workspace, something like that. But security, yes, is a concern, but not our focus right now. And the funny thing is, when I trade it, apparently my first trade, we hit 50% profit, which is crazy. Then from there on, because of how OpenClaw works, it learns from its mistakes. So right now, only 2 losses, and that is a good thing. And the thing with how crypto works is that historical trades cannot predict the future. So we are trying to put in events trade. What this means is that, for example, Trump said something bad, then you will fluctuate the crypto prices. So we're trying to add that for our users as well. Feel free to try it. It's a clawdfi.ai /skill.md file. Let me see over here. Yeah, fetch this. Please use it. I love your feedback. Thank you.
Sorry, I have one question. So you mentioned you started the problem with some security layer added. You started the problem with adding a security layer, right?
Yep.
So that was to protect your keys.
No. That was to actually scan for skills. So back then, Modebook was exposed, like their API keys were exposed. So this particular product is scanning for your skills that are malicious.
Oh.
So there isn't any, for example, if you want to use a skill on ClawHub, we do not know whether they are honeypot or not. So you use my tool, X4AutoGuard, to check your skill and give a rescore and then send it back to the bot. Yeah, so it's slightly different from Clawdfi.
Okay, cool.
Because on Clawdfi, we actually manually integrate their SDK and then convey it to the skill ourselves.
So largely what you did was allowed OpenClaw to control your crypto wallet.
Yes, I'm a degen.
Okay. Okay, got it. Okay.
Awesome.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is anyone else remaining?
Wilson, are you? Do you want to share what you've been working on this last week, this week, next week?
Okay, so hey guys, I'm Wilson. So I shared previously I'm working on a sort of AI companion for self-growth. Basically, crudely speaking, is a wrapper app for AI journaling where we feed in a ton of insights on top of it. And ideally, you can visualize your self-growth on top of that. And right now we're gearing up. I'm just gearing up for our iOS beta for next week. So just clearing out a lot of features, bugs, whatnot. And I think from conversations today, one of the biggest points that I'm sort of thinking about now is how do we actually, for example, stand out compared to other apps in the space, as well as how do we make it sticky. I think the main thing that I worked on today was syncing with Google Calendar at least. So for example, being able to have contextual insights on a person's calendar to feed them certain journaling prompts, recommendations, as well as insights, so that at least it's a little bit more context aware, and perhaps integrating with other apps, Apple Health. One of us even mentioned GitHub. You can sort of track as a developer your happiness and self-fulfillment based on your GitHub commits and your pull requests, right? So perhaps exploring other different ways I can integrate into different apps that just have different data insights into our lives to sort of really make it stick. But yeah, hopefully next week, once the beta is out, we'll have a lot more interesting customer feedback into exactly how I can pivot this and just to see exactly how sticky it is to see if it's actually even something worthwhile. But honestly, that's it for this week.
Any questions? I think I have one feedback. I think we spoke over the lunch. I was also thinking about this after that. One of the things that can work for you is how can you give gratification to the users? I mean, at the end of the day, this is a very disciplined thing to do journaling every day. And yeah, so I think you need to give a very instant gratification in this today's time that will enable me to journal every day. Like, do I actually get out? Like, do I get anything out of journaling every day? So that is something that you might have to figure out. That is what I think.
Yeah, exactly. I've been on Mobbin, like Duolingo, because their gamification process is probably the best for instant gratification. But I do think it's like a fine line, right? I don't want to make it too slop, too many like confetti animations if it's just a simple journal. But as you mentioned, it's a very fine line because without that, after one journal, no one's going to come back, and then perhaps the actual feature set, all our insights or whatever, won't have enough data to actually pull through. So exactly how do I get the users to that base of enough data to be useful? while still giving them some gratification. But yeah, thank you so much for that.
Anyone? Okay.
I don't have much context on your project. So for journaling, are you trying like audio or is mainly?
Yeah, so that's also a great question. So at least for my experience so far and like comparing apps in the space, and especially a lot of people right now are just talking to ChatGPT straight up, right, through voice mode. Um, at least for me, I've not been able to get parity with that, so I'm not even including a voice mode for the beta because I feel like that in itself is already, to be honest, quite strong. But it's more, I guess, the follow-ups that come with that in terms of having all that data through your conversation and then trying to feed that into all these other prompts and all these other layers on top of that.
So when you say you not matching parity means like the feature set that ChatGPT has.
Yeah, so right now it's purely like a text-based journaling, or like obviously some people still write, so we have simple OCR like recognition, right? But in terms of having like a voice mode, chat mode, I mean I'm not trying to fight that right now.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we are done for the day. They were really good presentations. I think a lot to learn. Yeah, I think we can conclude. Thank you so much, everyone.